Israel says it has begun preparation for the departure of large numbers of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, just a day after US President Donald Trump suggested that the US take over Gaza. Trump's comments have been condemned and rejected by international leaders, with the UN Secretary-General warning against ethnic cleansing in the Strip.
US President Donald Trump's proposal to clear Gaza of its civilians is strongly rejected by Gazans themselves.
We want to make it clear to Trump and to global leaders the Palestinian people are rooted in their land. We are as firm as the roots of olive trees. We will never give up our land in Gaza, nor will we abandon our land in the West Bank.
Dying here is better. It is better than going anywhere else, because you have nothing after losing your land, country, and home.
Trump proposed that the United States take over Gaza and resettle the over 2 million Palestinians living there. He sparked immediate international condemnation.
In the search for solutions, we must not make the problem worse. It is vital to stay true to the bedrock of international law. It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing.
The proposal to resettle Gazans was also spurned by neighbouring countries, Jordan and Egypt, which Trump had previously suggested should welcome them in. But the idea did find favour with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The actual idea of allowing first Gazans who want to leave. I mean, what's wrong with that? They can leave, they can then come back, they can relocate and come back, but you have to rebuild Gaza. If you want to rebuild Gaza, you can't have... this is the first good idea that I've heard. It's a remarkable idea.
As the diplomatic furore continues, the White House appears to be contradicting Trump's intentions to resettle Gazans permanently.
And the president has made it clear that they need to be temporarily relocated out of Gaza for the rebuilding of this effort. Again, it's a demolition site right now. It's not a livable place for any human being.
This dissonance is adding to the confusion over Trump's intentions for US involvement in the Middle East.
Mustafa Barghouti is a Palestinian politician, a member of the Palestinian Legislative Council. He joins us now from Moscow airport. Mr. Barghouti, what do you think about the Trump proposal?
Thank you. I think Trump's proposal is not only destructive, but also criminal, because what he has called for is nothing but ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people in Gaza. And then he's calling for an act of theft, where United States want to take over the land of Gaza at no cost, of course. And probably he's also dreaming and thinking about the gas field in Gaza, which is worth about $54 billion. This is terrible. And when they speak, he and Netanyahu, about the difficulty of living in Gaza, they should ask themselves who destroyed Gaza and with which weapons Gaza was destroyed. Gaza was destroyed by the Israeli army, which used 86,000 tons of American explosives in the most inhuman way, killing at least 17,000 children and tens of thousands of other Palestinians. If they have no right to decide for us what we want. We will reconstruct Gaza even with the most simple ways, without their intervention. And Palestinians will never leave their country, because they've already tried that before in 1948, when Israel ethnically cleansed 70% of the Palestinian people, and they were never allowed back. Netanyahu is telling lies when he speaks about allowing Palestinians to come back. He's restricting even our movement now in the West Bank with 920 military checkpoints. This whole thing is nothing but an act of ethnic cleansing that Netanyahu tried to conduct with bombardment and failed. And now President Trump is coming with these political ideas that are very dangerous and that are rejected not only by Palestinians, but by all countries in the region and by the world.
So you are saying that the proposal by Benjamin Netanyahu to allow Gazans to leave, those who want to leave, and allow them back in if they want to come back in. You don't believe that proposal?
I don't believe he means it. I think he wants people to leave and not come back, because he has made it clear that he will control the borders. He has nothing to do with the people of Gaza. He should leave Gaza. The Israeli army has destroyed already most of the buildings in Gaza. They should leave and let us be. Let us. Well, if Israel really cares about the human lives, why they are obstructing humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza? We have medical teams in Gaza that lack medications, lack medical equipment. He's not allowing them in. He's not even allowing aid equipment to the injured people. If he is obstructing everything. So I don't believe, I think, I'm sorry to say that, but the Prime Minister of Israel is a frequent liar, a pathological liar, and he's lying again.
Now, let's come back to the role of the US. How do you see the role of the US in the peace process in the Middle East right now? Is it still a believable mediator?
Unfortunately, it couldn't be a mediator even during Biden's time. And of course, it cannot be the mediator now with all this bias to Israel. To be a mediator, you have to be impartial, to be not totally neutral, but at least somehow neutral. The United States is the biggest supporter of Israel, politically, and with arms, and with technology, and with everything. So no, of course, the United States cannot play that role. President Trump did one thing good, which was to pressure Netanyahu to stop the attacks on Gaza. That should continue. He is the only one who can restrain Netanyahu from going back to bombarding Gaza and from going back to war. And that role should continue. But if we talk about a solution of the problem, we need the whole international community. And the best idea is to have some kind of an international peace conference where Europeans would be involved, Arab countries would be involved, Muslim countries would be involved, and United Nations in particular. And the big question here is why nothing has been done to end the problem by ending the Israeli military occupation of Palestinian land and allowing Palestinians to have a state, a small state of their own that could, so that we can have peaceful coexistence. What we had so far is nothing but occupation, oppression, an occupation that transformed into a system of terrible apartheid. And you have seen what happened in Gaza, and now what happened in Gaza is happening in the West Bank, where 2 big refugee camps have already been ethnically cleansed, including in the one in Jenin and the one in Tulkarem. And the attacks are continuing. Hamas does not exist in the West Bank, but they are conducting a war on the people, on the civilian population of the people of the West Bank, even using airstrikes against Palestinian cities there.
You just mentioned the wish for a Palestinian state, even a small Palestinian state. But since this proposal was put forward by Donald Trump, the two-state solution has been thrown into doubt again, several voices claiming it was dead anyway and that new thinking was required. Do you agree?
At this very moment, there are 7.3 million Palestinians living on the land of historic Palestine, including Gaza, West Bank, and, of course, 1948 areas. And there are 7.1 million Jewish people. The solution can be only one of two, either two-state solution or one democratic state solution, where we can live together with equal rights and equal duties. The Israeli government and establishment is rejecting two-state solution and rejecting one-state solution. So what is Netanyahu's solution? Exactly what Trump proposed, which is ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, which is a grave violation of international law, which is a war crime, and which is something we will never accept. So the poll is in the Israeli side. They have to decide, do they want two-state solution or one democratic state? We are ready to accept any of these two solutions.
Let's get more now from correspondent Balig Sladeen in Tel Aviv. Balig, there are reports that Israel's defense minister has ordered the army to plan for voluntary departures from Gaza. Is this connected to Trump's proposal to relocate Palestinians from Gaza?
Well, yes and no. Since the beginning of the war, actually, Israel sought migrating Gazans outside of Gaza, specifically toward Egypt. But then very soon that this is not a viable plan because the Egyptians doesn't want to absorb any Gazans since the beginning of this war. And that was a red line for them. And of course, the Biden administration prevented Israel from going through with this plan. But over the past few months, the Israeli establishment has been looking into this plan of voluntary migration outside of Gaza and maybe not toward Egypt or Jordan, but rather toward a third country. That's something that has been discussed inside the Israeli security establishment. That is something that we have now just yesterday after our first publication in the Israeli media. Now, this is connected or not connected to the Trump's plan because today the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, and after the keenness over the Trump's plan of relocating Gazans, of deporting Gazans, depends on how you want to describe it, he ordered the army to prepare for this, to facilitate or how to facilitate this exit outside of Gaza through land and through sea and through the air. So, for example, how exactly the Gazans are going to get out of the air is crossing in the north and then go to the Ben Gurion airport, for example, in order to fly towards Spain or Ireland or other countries that Katz has named specifically because these countries has apparently taken a very harsh stand against Israel throughout the past few months during this war. So we see that the current order is actually connected to the Trump's plan, but it has been discussed also before in the Israeli establishment.
What do Israelis think about Trump's proposal?
Well, the Israelis, and that's according to our recent polling, 52% of them see this as a practical plan. Another 30% doesn't see it actually as a practical plan, but they wish that it could actually happen, which means that the vast majority of Israelis think that the Gaza problem, quote unquote, is something that needs to be dealt with, especially after October 7th and after years of wars or cycles of fighting and violence between Israel and Hamas, something that apparently had no solution. And I guess that the other place that where this plan hasn't been condemned, at least not in its entirety, is in the Gaza Strip. Now, I've heard what the Gazans in your report has said just a short while ago, but we know, according to a pollster named Shkaki, a very notable pollster in the Palestinian territories, that 44% of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and that's from June 2024, are considering actually migrating outside of Gaza. I know lots of Gaza that would like to get out of Gaza. Again, it's important that we're talking about voluntary migration and not forced migration. At least the Israeli plan wouldn't be this way. I'm not sure what the Trump's plan is talking about.
We'll leave it there for the moment. Thanks so much for joining us today, Balig Sladeen.